Hello, this is the Burning Issues podcast, back formerly known as Suppressed Reality Podcast. Of course, we got myself, Will.
And me, James Williams.
All right, James, what are we talking about today?
Today we're
Go ahead.
Today we're talking about weather manipulation.
Wow.
And it seems to be that it's a growing topic, in the political realm, and we felt like we should hit on it.
Pretty solid. I mean, I think this is the perfect opportunity, perfect time, and opportunity to bring out the rebooted podcast.
Absolutely.
With these hurricanes in Florida, all this talk of weather manipulation, all these people saying, "Oh, you're crazy," if you think the government had anything to do with weather manipulation.
I think it's very odd that people say we're crazy to think the government can manipulate the weather when there's multiple instances of that happening.
Of course, and not only multiple instances of that happening, but we've been doing it, or the government has been toying around with it for a very long time.
Exactly.
Very long time. So with that being said, well, we got plenty of paperwork over here. In the middle of something.
All right. What was I about to say? Plenty of paperwork. So I say we start off by presenting the certain methods that they go by of doing it. So we got number one, cloud seeding. Then we got cloud seeding, we got hurricane manipulation, and we got SRM, which is solar radiation management. So just to give y'all some basic idea on cloud seeding. So it's when they use chemicals to induce a dispersion of water out of a cloud. Right?
Okay.
So the main chemical, so the process that it goes through is they produce an ice nucleating agent. So something that resembles ice in the molecular structure, which then induces the water droplets to then fall as rain or snow. So some of the chemicals they use is silver iodine, potassium iodine, and calcium iodine. But the most favorable is silver iodine because, like I said, it's an ice nucleating agent. And so because it's similar to ice, because it's got a crystalline structure, it makes it easier for the clouds to then turn into water droplets.
Now, I'm no meteorologist, but that makes sense to me. Now, that being said, James, both of us we're not experts on this at all.
Absolutely not.
So we're basically just like talking out of our mouth right now. We have absolutely nothing to back this up with, right? Correct?
I mean,
Except for United States Patent 3915379, which just what do you have over there? You got anything?
Look, I got a couple of things, but go ahead and tell them what that says first before we get into that.
So United States Patent 3915379, which got approved, by the way. Anybody can upload a patent and not get approved, but this one is legit. It basically explains what you were talking about, the cloud seeding. This whole thing is about cloud seeding. We got some charts on here. All these sources, of course, are posted down below. There was some word that we post unreliable sources and some Fox News sources and all this. I'm not sure where that came from. We've never posted Fox News as a source.
Yeah, we double check.
Yeah, so I'm not sure where that was started. But this patent says, let's see, fuel and an oxidizer and a mixture of metal iodate and an alkaline iodate. Upon combustion, metal iodate and alkaline iodate are generally used as mixtures and complexes which show ice moleculi active. So it's talking about, exactly what you said, making basically artificial ice. And, we have some graphs on here of when the perfect time to do this in, mole ratios, and then we have this table rather, of everything we're pumping into the air when we do this. So we have a bunch of samples, metal iodide, we have AgIO3, 5% NH4IO1, and we have hundreds of these chemicals on this table. So that's what I have. Again, U.S. Patent 3915379. It was published October 28, 1975, which we'll get into why that's a special number of the year.
Yeah, so that automatically knocks off any speculation. So let's just talk about how they go about cloud seeding. So they take a plane and they fly it into a cloud, on different angles, and so they disperse. For example, silver iodine, which has a crystalline structure, makes it either freeze or drop water. So, an instance of that, I think we should touch on. Where should we start at?
we have a lot to talk about, James. Should we talk about
Let's talk about Vietnam first.
Perfect.
Let's talk about Vietnam first. Do you want to take that?
So yeah, let's see. Let's see where I.
Before we get into that, I just want to mention that we did have some speculation about our sources. So this is a Department of Defense memorandum, so there's no confusion on if it's real or not. But
again, it'll be down below.
Yep.
All of this, everything we're looking at on this table will be down below. This isn't like, random stuff.
This is not hearsay. It's not nothing we came up with. This is government documents.
This paperwork isn't here to look fancy or look professional. Mm-hmm. Everything's down below. Mm-hmm. So let's see what I got on Vietnam. You might have more in depth about Vietnam than I do. I just have Vietnam, cloud seeding. Mm-hmm. So we have Operation Popeye, which took place in Vietnam. Operation Popeye, it was a top secret campaign. It was highly classified, which I believe got declassified in around 1975. Again, when this patent got released, right? So no surprise there. It was a weather modification program in Southeast Asia during 1967 to 1972. Some goals of Operation Popeye was to soften the road surfaces, stop the Viet Cong from transportation or whatever you might be, causing landslides along roadways, washing out river crossings, and maintaining saturated soil conditions beyond the normal time span. So the beyond the normal time span part is very important because a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of people try to disprove that we cloud seed in Vietnam, even though it's declassified now. They said it was during monsoon season, and Vietnam is a rainforest environment, which it is. But let's see, Operation Popeye extended the monsoon season up to 30 and 45 days past.
Yeah, almost a month.
Almost a month past the normal monsoon season.
Which is one of the goals that they put in this memorandum.
Wow. Yeah. And who was that by again? What was that?
This is the Department of State, DOD.
So Operation Popeye, and I mentioned causing landslides along roadways, and we're going to get to this this more recent hurricane that hit Florida, Milton and Helene.
Yeah. Before we get to that, I just want to piggyback off what you said, give you some statistics and or subjectives that they say they accomplished during that operation. So during Operation Popeye, they said that 82% of the cloud seeded produced rain with a brief period after seeding. So once they seeded it, it was almost instant, and 82% of it happened. Secondly, the rain that they did cause to fall is supposed to be sufficient enough to cause logistical disruptions, roadway closures, mudslides, etc. And even so much that it was so powerful and so much more than they intended, they actually almost flooded a special forces camp.
Wow.
With 9 inches of rain in 4 hours. So that brings up a good point. So what I was going to say is we're going to get to the hurricane that hit Florida later on, hurricanes that hit Florida later on, but in the mountainous regions where the hurricane, where they're not used to hurricanes, a lot of the death and destruction came from mudslides, which was one of the goals of Operation Popeye way back in 1967. Yeah, so it's not like we're gonna keep harping on this episode. It's not an if, it's when they want to do it.
Yep, exactly.
But just to add on to that, so the unit that they used to carry out this weather manipulation, their slogan was "Make mud, not war." So I thought that was kind of, I like that.
I did see that somewhere.
I like that.
I did see somewhere.
I like that. So, I mean, let me say this. The government is saying, because you can see all of these pundits, CNN, and all these different news sources, because they want to cooperate their media arms to try and disprove it, but it cannot be disproven. And now that people are starting to look into it more and more information is starting to come out.
I think you're wrong, James. Joe Biden said we are not controlling the weather. He said it's beyond ridiculous. So we're
Joe Biden.
but we must have this all this paperwork must have been fabricated and with fake stamps and United States stamps.
I guess
and,
so. I guess.
Actually, maybe we shouldn't say that.
Okay, wait. Yeah, Secret Service. We did not forge any documents.
So, okay. So since we're in the past, still in Vietnam, you had some more. You had let's see. Since we're in the past, let's keep up with the timeline.
Okay, so
So
we also had Project Circus, but we skipped over that. So that was done in 1947. So there was a storm off the coast of Florida, and on October 13th, 1947. So they took one C-130 and a couple jets, and they flew into it because they figured, okay, we're going to study hurricanes, and this hurricane didn't look like it was going to hit anything. So they flew into it multiple times during the day in intervals, and they did cloud seeding with silver iodine, which is super important because silver iodine works best in colder temperatures. So up in the clouds, it would be cold. So they did that, and at first they didn't see any results. But within, I think it said in a couple hours, no, it was a day, it had went from going away from Florida and Georgia to doing a complete U-turn.
Yes. Yeah, I saw that. So just to paint a clearer picture, so there was a hurricane. Does it say what hurricane it was? We can post something in the description if not.
Yeah, I might have it.
It was in 1947, so 77 years ago.
I don't remember what hurricane it was,
Okay.
but yeah, we'll definitely post something in the description.
So there was a hurricane in 1947, or 47? Yes.
47.
1947, there was a hurricane. Started off in the Gulf, went through Florida, made landfall in Florida. Now this hurricane went through Florida, is now in the Atlantic. These planes seeded the hurricane. It was projected to break off into the Atlantic, and all of a sudden, this hurricane, a day after what you said, of them dropping whatever they dropped, dry ice, iodine, whatever, iodized, my bad.
Silver iodine.
Silver iodine, thank you. Mm-hmm. They dropped this into the hurricane. The hurricane made not a complete U-turn, but the hurricane turned around in its tracks and then proceeded to hit mainland Georgia. After it hit Florida, went out into the Atlantic, and then came back in, hit Georgia.
Which we all know cannot happen, and it's not natural.
At the very least, very slim.
Yeah.
It's a very slim chance of that happening.
Extremely slim. So we brought that point to say that we started off in the past, now we come back to the future. I guess you could say more modern. Mm-hmm. So we made that point to say that, it's possible.
Of course it's possible.
It's very possible.
What topic you want to talk about next, James? We have so much to talk about. So much to talk about, so little time.
So, what do I want to talk about next? So you talked about Operation Popeye. We talked about Project Circus. So let's talk about...
What about Fishbowl?
I
found that one extremely interesting. Okay, I've never heard of that one before.
Yeah, so Project Fishbowl was done right after the Cold War when the U.S. government decided that they want to test EMPs in the ionosphere, which is the upper atmosphere. Uh-huh. But so what they did was they launched, a series of nukes into the ionosphere. And what they learned was that obviously it would disrupt the communications of satellites because up there the radiation throws off the satellites. But a side effect of that was they put holes in the ionosphere, which protects us from solar radiation, which is important because we keep hearing about climate change and this and that. But if they really cared about climate change, why would they be blowing up nukes in the ionosphere? And
this is multiple times. This isn't like
we
didn't know it was going to poke a hole in the ionosphere.
No, they knew it was and kept doing it.
So but of course they could argue. The 70s was a different time for environmental, all that stuff. Which I'll go with that for a little bit. Later on, we got some loopholes in the whole global warming agenda. We're not going to go too much into global warming, but that can be a future episode.
No, it can't be.
But we have some questions at the bare minimum for these global warming experts, believers, pushers. There we go. It's definitely happening. I don't know if it's happening at the rate that everyone's being told that it is.
I think it's more of a, they want to push this agenda to line their pockets as usual.
Of course, line their pockets and control over us. Oh, these 15-minute cities, you can only drive your car so much within a week because you're producing so much carbon. It's all, I believe it's all a control tactic. We'll get...
Yeah.
That's a later episode, though.
That is a later episode. So, but the idea of Project Fishbowl was obviously to test EMPs, but the importance of that is there's still weather manipulation either way.
Oh, of course.
Because they're heating up the earth now, and then that leads to warmer oceans, which could lead to stronger hurricanes, etc. So, Project Fishbowl to me just stuck out with its multifaceted approach to things.
Yep. So, what do we want to talk about next? I believe that's all the past operations we have, and there's countless more. That's just the few we brought to the mic today. So, what do you got? I got another patent for. Oh, we could talk about HAARP.
Yes.
Are we going into modern times?
Yeah, we can talk about HAARP.
Okay, I don't have too much on HAARP because HAARP is more of known. So
I got a book on HAARP.
Really?
Yeah.
You remember the title of it?
Angels Don't Play This HAARP.
I like that. Okay.
I had to bring it, or we could just put it in the description and let y'all read it. But.
Wow. Okay. So I don't have too much on HAARP because it's more well known, and on Burning Issues podcast, we wanna kind of uncover the what people don't know too much about. But according to HAARP's website, again, I don't know where these unreliable sources were coming from. We pulling straight from HAARP's website. The ionosphere research instrument, a high-power transmitter facility operating in the high-frequency range. The IRI can be used to temporarily excite a limited area of the ionosphere for a scientific study. So, that doesn't sound too bad. They're researching the ionosphere, everything about that.
The ionosphere. Let's just put some emphasis on
that. The same thing they were poking holes in, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, they use radio waves, and I found that very interesting that they're using this to study.
Right.
Because what I have here is another patent. It's a patent application publication. So it was it did get approved. It says application, but it got approved later on. Published number US 2003/00852996A1, May 8th, 2003. You got a lot of pictures on this. If y'all go down below to our sources, this is definitely the one to look at. So I don't know how good y'all can see this. Basically, this whole patent describes how the use of radio waves and different waves can push, direct, intensify, de-intensify, all these different weather weather,
phenomena.
There you go. Mm-hmm. So it specifically talks about tornadoes, hurricane, rain, wind, all this stuff. And if we go through it, here's it directing hurricane, and they have HAARP stations all across the world. They have some in Russia. They have one in Colombia, I believe.
They got a big one in Antarctica.
They have a decent-sized one in Alaska. Mm-hmm. So let me just read a few things off this. Again, U.S. Patent 2003/00852996A1. And this is directly off the patent. The present innovation generally relates to a method of weather control. More specifically, the present innovation, it's drawn to a method of employing high decibel sound waves to affect the formation of weather systems. Names such as blah, 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 blah. Let's see. When recognition is realized, mega generators are employed to produce high decibel sound waves, which sound waves are projected towards the clouds and rotating winds, which form the low atmospheric systems, aka hurricanes, tornadoes, whatever they want to do. In another scenario, the high-frequency sound waves will function to enhance the rotation of the winds, thereby causing a hurricane or tornado to form. Says it right here. It says right here, section 0016, summary of the invention, right there. Then we got section 0017, sound waves may also be projected as potential non-violent weather systems to cause such systems to produce rain. So they're also talking about how these HAARP systems don't have to just produce tornadoes and hurricanes. They can do such as little things as rain. It's another object of the invention to provide a process to alter the direction of weather systems, which may produce hurricanes and tornadoes. So, we saw that with Florida.
Right.
Very weird projection. It's causing one way or another.
And they got another one coming at them.
And they have another one coming in. And, hurricane going into Georgia, Tennessee area.
Basically unheard of.
Georgia, it's a little heard of, but
Tennessee?
Yeah, that's a little
North
strange.
Carolina?
It's further object of the invention to provide a process to disturb, which is good, tornadoes come into your town, they can disturb it with HAARP, or enhance the formation of hurricanes and tornadoes. Enhance. So that's not HAARP directly, but it's the same concept as HAARP in this patent. So, you would like to do further research on that.
Yeah, I want to segue back to Operation Popeye. Oh. So, after they did all this weather manipulation, we had to form a environmental modification convention in 1977, which prohibited the military from modifying weather and manipulating the environment.
Do I have that here? What date was yours?
1977.
I got 1976. Same thing, enact. A law, public law. Okay.
So
continue. You got.
The idea of it was obviously because that's like, how do I put this? That's the Germans evidence. That's like the Germans using flamethrowers or gas. Mm-hmm. Same thing.
So it was such an issue. A law had to be created to say you cannot manipulate the weather on mass amounts of people.
Right, just like the Geneva Convention.
So let's see. I don't know. This has to be the same thing.
Yeah, they might have convened.
This is a public law 94. This is public law 94-490, the 94th Congress, an act. This is October 13th, 1976.
I got 97.
Okay.
If it's the same thing, they may have convened later or talked about it. Yeah. But the idea of it was that was such a strategic military advantage that it had to be stopped. Mm-hmm. And I proposed. Let me not say that. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that on the internet. Actually, let me not say that.
So what I got, which is weather modification technology has significant potential for preventing, diverting, and monitoring. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. The adverse effects of such disasters and hazards and enhancing crop production and the availability of water. Which is interesting they say that. It's very interesting. We're going to get that. We're going to get into that later on, more modern times. So weather modification programs may have long-range and unexpected effects on existing climate patterns, which are not confined by national boundaries. Okay.
This is what I think. What do you think about this? I think we should have another convention or environmental modification convention, but we need to put in law like citizens or I guess governments across the world to come together and say, yeah, we shouldn't use weather manipulation for detriment or against the detriment of humankind. We shouldn't be manipulating the weather to make it worse on us.
See, I agree. I agree. I mean, how can you not agree with that?
I know.
How can you not agree with that?
But I think, the people who are doing this and with their intention, this is another locus of control.
Yes. So yeah, it's here. We have the factual evidence that for a long time, in fact, did you know? Just forgot to bring this up. Let me see if I can give you. Oh, sorry. Let me see if I can give you the correct date on this. So weather control or attempted weather control goes all the way back to the 1870s.
Okay.
Did you research any of that?
Mm-mm.
It didn't really work, but it's just I thought it interesting that the concept. So in 1872, the U.S. Congress authorized the Secretary of War and the Navy to test the relationship between artillery fire and rain production. So, I'm not sure what came about out of that, but you can just see all the way back to 1872, humans, military, and weather, militaries all across the world were interested in how they can control the weather for their own personal gain or their own country's gain. And now we see it in 2024. It's being used against the American people.
Yeah. So that was where they laid the groundwork. I didn't know that.
Yep.
I did not know that.
It was I thought it was interesting. 1872. They were firing artillery to see how it affects rain.
I can believe it, but
Just thought that was an interesting fact.
So let's segue a little bit to SAI, or stratospheric aerosol injection. So I'm not sure if the audience has ever heard that. We may have heard from a certain special someone, but we on Rumble, huh? We're gonna be on Rumble.
Yeah.
All right. So you may have heard from a certain special someone, aka Mr. Alex Jones, that someone is trying to block out the sun. Now, I mean, if you know who that character is, you know who that character is. But if not, do some research, you'll find them. So the idea of stratospheric aerosol injection is that they fly up in the air and inject particles that reflect the sun's heat back out to cool the earth, right? Or I guess they can reflect it in, but they're using it to reflect it out. Right, so it's different chemicals, but the idea of it is that they either want to cool the earth or they want to heat it up, right? And so the people who do this,
it boils down to they can control if the earth heats up or cools down, essentially.
Right, which is important to the whole climate change and blah 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 that they want to talk about. So let's name a couple chemicals they got in there. So sulfur dioxide, calcium carbonate, and aluminum oxide. So all these chemicals are very harmful to the environment. So I was doing a little bit of research. I didn't include this in the documents, but we're gonna put this in the description. There are now honeybees who have been found with aluminum in their blood. Right?
Interesting.
Right? And we find aluminum samples in the ground. Certain areas of Texas aren't as fertile, like soil-wise.
Very interesting.
Because if you spraying all this stuff across the globe, it's going to eventually get into the soil and the groundwater. And so, to me, it's just funny that they want to say, oh, we don't do anything to the environment. We love the environment. Recycle and do all this. But y'all poison the ground. Like, how does that make sense? So, yeah, I wanted to raise that because if they get this in place and if they're able to properly block out the sun, then we're going to have big problems. Because they're already trying to take out carbon dioxide. But imagine you take out the sun.
Yeah. So,
Or imagine they reduce the sunlight in a certain area of the globe to choke those people out of food or whatever, and then boom, they're done. They're under subjection.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I just think that's extremely ironic because, these environmentalists love their bees. But yet they, the people who can actually do something about it, they decide to, let's just spray the air full of these compounds and chemicals to potentially block out the sun, which, if it's blocking out the sun, then it's trapping the sunlight that already came through back in, heating up the earth. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this, but it's very interesting, and I don't doubt it for a second.
Yeah, but let's preface this. We are not experts in these matters, but we just heavily researched and wanted to present our unique take.
Of course. I mean, we're not experts, but we're using the internet to our advantage, and you have to dig deep. You have to dig deep for this. Sorry, what's the camera doing? All right, I think camera's good. Anyway. Just stop recording. Hold on. Did I save it? Bitch Barrett saved it.
Let me make sure I properly hit this though.
Yeah, we good. Good. Must stop at 30 minutes automatically. Okay, that's fine. Plug in my phone. Alright, we want to talk about anything before we get back into it?
I think it's running smooth. It's a nice flow of conversation. Yeah. Ain't nothing I want to talk about.
We just hit the 30-minute mark, so
so I think
we're running good.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna hit this in more depth, and this is important because this is the National Academy of Sciences. So y'all really they can't say nothing about this. Like, this is a .gov, so there's no way that we can be discredited. So,
all right, let me. Okay, audio. I'm going to hit record in 3, 2, 1. Sorry about that. We had to take a quick little break. We had some camera issues. So, James, you want to do a recap?
Yeah,
Not a recap, but, transition back into what you were talking about?
We were talking about stratospheric aerosol injection. So, I just wanted to make sure that I give y'all a proper definition of what it is. So, stratospheric aerosol injection also falls under solar radiation modification, which, according to the National Academy of Sciences, it refers to deliberate large-scale actions intended to decrease global average surface pressure or surface temperatures by increasing the reflection of sunlight away from the Earth.
Wow.
Now, obviously, if they can do that, then they can do the opposite of that and make it hotter. So, I say all that to say that they know what they're doing, but yet they continue to do this, and then they want to blame us for influencing temperature with, if you drive a diesel truck, you're contributing to global warming, or if you do this, and that. Or if you're a farmer and you got a tractor.
Farmers are tractors, take the bus more often, you take the train, which is, no problem against buses or trains. But, eventually it's going to boil into, you can only drive so many miles in your car this week because you're producing too much carbon. They're going to take a carbon footprint agenda and limit you over something they created and you have nothing to do with. So it's just another means of controlling you. No surprise there.
It is another means of controlling us, and they do so with such, it's really hard to understand how these people think, because you almost have to be evil to do certain things like this.
Wow,
even think on this magnitude of, I don't even know what I want to call it. That's intelligent deceit.
It's sinister.
Yes.
Like this thought of how can we control as many people as possible by making them without making them think we're the ones who's controlling them. Right. Make them think it's their own fault.
Yep.
Oh yeah, we our grandparents, our great grandparents, they're producing coal and all, burning coal for all this stuff, for energy. We drove our cars around, all this. Yeah, it's all our fault. It's our fault. Now we have to pay the price by, being controlled, all this stuff. Again, this is not the global warming episode, but this stuff kind of ties into it. Well,
I wanted to add on top of that. Yeah, so they use regular people's heart and just goodwill, usually towards all people, against them. Like, okay, if I'm contributing to global warming and I get indoctrinated in that mindset of thinking, I'm going to go be like, okay, well, maybe they're right. I shouldn't drive this, or I shouldn't do that, or I shouldn't eat steak, or whatever. And now we're starting to see the pieces of their complete control come into alignment. So we had the we had the COVID-19 shot.
Well, it's going on YouTube too.
All right.
Bovid.
We got the Bovid 18 shot. We have now climate control. We see that they're now collapsing the economy in different ways. It seems to me that, they're cornering us. Wow. About 4 or 5 moves from checkmate.
Of course. I mean, this global warming agenda is just a piece in their master plan. It's how can they control us for global warming? Let me drink my water from a paper straw wrapped in plastic.
I seen a video the other day. It was like a mountainside road, and it was a Tesla with a gas generator on the back, plugged into the Tesla.
That's how that works. He's not doing nothing wrong.
He is. This is ironic.
These houses that charge the Teslas, they just run off of, I don't know, good vibes, I guess.
Some type of mystery fuel source.
It's not like we burn coal for energy, natural gas, natural gas is the biggest producer of energy in the United States, by the way. Mm-hmm. So,
I just think
it's all dandy.
We need. I think the only way that we can fight all this info manipulation and weather manipulation is by understanding.
So, yeah. So, it's understanding, it's more, it's just knowing, doing your own research, always have that thought in the back of your mind, the government is, or the top, whatever, government, the people actually running the world, have that thought in the back of your mind that these people actually could be bad. Let me think of a worst case scenario and then research that.
Yeah. I think another tip we should be looking at is wherever so let's say a story breaks. Like right now we're talking about weather manipulation because that's like the main thing, along with a bunch of other stuff in the news. But wherever there's a true story, there's going to be counter narratives from, legacy media, CNN, Fox News, whatever. Of
course.
MSNBC.
Of course.
Because they have to counter that. Because the moment people start to think for themselves, it's a problem. Like we see in, where is that at? Well, like in the Florida area and all the areas that were affected by the hurricane, we start to see Americans mobilize to help one another. And guess what they do? They try to stifle that.
Yep.
Because that's the true American spirit. Once that starts to come out, they get scared.
Yep.
They get scared because, we're all descendants from people who really was about their business.
Yep. You have these citizens helping each other out. You have citizens with private aircraft, and they're being told you can't go out and help. Mm-hmm. Or there's this one video going viral right now, some sort of a camp where the people can get food and help and all this stuff. Like these from people's own pockets.
Yeah.
All this food from their own pantries. It's all in this parking lot. There's a black helicopter, low altitude, just hovering above this, wrecking havoc, blowing all the tents away, blowing everything away. Mm-hmm. Black helicopter, big black helicopter.
It's only one.
Man.
There can only be one agency. So.
No bueno. So I think, unless you have what else you gotta say?
No, that was it.
That was it. So I think that's a great transition into Florida.
Oh yeah.
These most current times, Florida, of course, Helene and Milton, right?
Yeah, Milton.
So I got some info in Florida. So all this being said, you can now, or not, I don't care what you do, you can now piece together the puzzle that Florida and all these other states that are affected are by these hurricanes, where these hurricanes were manipulated, 100% manipulated in some way.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it was a naturally formed hurricane and the direction and intensity was manipulated, but again, with all the documents, we can easily get rid of hurricanes and tornadoes.
Yeah.
Especially with HAARP and radar and all that stuff.
Yeah, and even if we didn't want to get rid of it, we could lessen the intensity.
Of course.
Or turn it.
Yeah, turn it away. Which we did for a fact in 1947. We turned a hurricane, and
Absolutely
that was 77 years ago. So what can we do now? We could probably turn it with a press of a button. So, and if you're still thinking about how these hurricanes are couldn't possibly be manipulated in any way, I have a weird flight recording here. So, flight path NOAA 42. There was two operations done by this same aircraft, and it was a Lockheed Martin ORION P3, Lockheed Martin Orion, I believe is how you say it. So the evening before landfall, there was a 6-hour operation took place in the developing storm in the Gulf.
Right.
This is under Hurricane Helene. So this.
Wait, hold on. Let me cut you off for a second. So, because before somebody says in the comment section, "Oh, they was just monitoring the hurricane," blah blah blah. You don't sit in the hurricane for 6 hours to monitor it.
It
fly through.
It was going in circles, James.
Oh,
Circles inside the hurricane.
Okay.
So, of course, it could be said that they were monitoring the hurricane for 6 hours going in a circle in the same spot, in the eye of it, where the hurricane's the weakest. But they're monitoring it. Whatever. So the same plane was using cloud seeding in the past. That's whatever. And so another operation in Florida took place after landfall. It again circled in the hurricane, and that was right before it went up north to the states that usually don't get a hurricane. And on that note, again, no expert here, but hurricanes are supposed to break apart when entering landfall, right? So, and that's according to Weather.gov, that hurricanes usually break up or weaken over land.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Strengthen over warm water, weaken over land. That's, again, Weather.gov. So
Weather.gov.
Weather.gov.
Not Burning Issues podcast.
So that was weird. That was very weird. Also, the hurricane took a weird turn towards the end. It avoided the East Coast somewhat. It went towards more west at the end, which is highly unusual and weird. And so I want to talk about the warm waters for a second. So again, back to the global warming agenda. They need somebody to blame. Of course, we got Joe Biden saying, "Oh, it's global warming." In fact, I'm not going to quote him because I don't have the quote in front of me. But he slipped up at the beginning of this press conference. He said, "Until global warming gets fixed, we have the resources to make more and more powerful hurricanes." Don't know if that was old age talking or if he slipped up or.
Could have been a Freudian slip, but
I don't know. I'm not sure what that was about. Y'all can look into that, or we'll post it down below. So they're saying global warming caused the Gulf to be way warmer than it should be.
Okay.
Right. Earlier this year, in Louisiana, there was a Hurricane Francine. Right. It hit New Orleans. Hit New Orleans. Were you there in New Orleans?
No, I wasn't. I was in Dallas.
You're in Dallas. I wasn't in New Orleans. But New Orleans. Obviously, New Orleans got hit by the hurricane. It was a hurricane. It was a good hurricane, but not good. But it wasn't a crazy hurricane, especially not from New Orleans.
Right.
So what if I told you Francine, which was a Cat 2 when it hit landfall?
I think it was a Cat 2, Cat 3.
Cat 2, Cat 3. What was what was Helene?
I think that had to be a 4 or 5.
4 or 5, yeah. Mm-hmm. So the Gulf temp was actually hotter. For Francine,
right.
Which was a Cat 2
right.
or Cat 3. Yeah, we'll look into it. So the Gulf was hotter. So that
blows that out the water.
Almost disproves the Gulf is hotter. So that's why this powerful hurricane. I'm sure they could have said, oh, it sat in the Gulf for longer or some sort of that, but the Gulf being hotter was not the cause. The Gulf was actually at best. The Gulf was the same temperature as Francine when Helene hit. When Francine hit, it was 82 to 86 Fahrenheit. When Helene hit, it was 82 on September 23rd. So I just couldn't understand that agenda. They have to blame somebody for that.
Yeah, I want to add to that. I didn't include this in my documents right here, but we'll put that in the description. But so there's different methods that they use to disperse whatever chemicals they want in the plane, and they call them BP, which is burn in place. Mm-hmm. So once they drop it, it burns like as soon as it comes out the plane. But then they have ones that I think it's EP. We'll put it in the description, but that may not be it. But they drop and then it disperses in intervals through the cloud. So essentially, they could twist it this way, make it more intense over here. They had one instance, I think this I might have missed this, but this is in one of the documents, either Project Circus or I might not include it, but in one of the weather manipulation experiments, they were able to make one of these storms have 2 eye walls.
Man, that's natural.
Yeah, so I think the case is closed on weather manipulation.
Oh yeah. And to go back to what we said before, Operation Popeye creating landslides and mudslides, and we're seeing that today with these hurricanes that hit Florida, and more specifically the northern parts that the hurricane hit. A lot of damage from landslides,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of casualties from landslides and mudslides.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell you what the cause. Why would they control the weather? Why would they make that specific path? Of course, it could be they don't want certain votes to come in from that path. It's a very red red path it painted.
They might want to demoralize the people.
Demoralize the people.
They want control.
Yeah. Oh, there also. Can't believe we missed this. I'm gonna have to do some independent research on this, but there's also this thing going around that a lithium mine.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard about this?
They heard a little bit.
So there's this lithium mine. I'm going to be very vague with the details because I don't want to say something I'm wrong about. This is all coming from the top of my head. We'll post some information down below. There's this lithium mine that was in this town, third largest lithium mine in the world, big lithium mine. U.S. government already approved it, but obviously there's a town there and people live there, and they're not going to give up their homes for some corporate lithium mine.
Right.
So that was another call. It could be cause, right? They needed, now their homes are flooded and destroyed. They'll take anything they got. Government will pay them out in an instant. Done.
Could be. Could definitely be a reason that they would do that. I think we presented a very good case on, obviously don't take our word for anything we did here. Y'all can do your own research, but I think we laid out more than enough facts to prove that not only weather manipulation is real, but it's continuing to advance.
Look, at the very least, I mean, we have U.S. documentation saying they can and have controlled the weather. So they haven't controlled the weather.
I want to really show that seal so everybody can be on the same page.
In fact, again, 77 years ago they turned a hurricane. 77 years ago. You know how much has gotten done in 77 years? A bunch of stuff. So I'm sure they could build a hurricane by a press of a button now.
Mm-hmm. Quick, generate.
Of course, steer.
And that's only what they could do. But they still got hurricanes coming off the coast of Africa, which form naturally. And with that much distance, who knows how they can steer? They can send a hurricane to Maine.
Of course. So with all the these radio, what I showed you, the patent for steering and controlling weather. Mm-hmm. This patent right here, they were talking about how they could potentially put these radio frequencies on huge oil platforms in the middle of the ocean. It don't matter. They can put them anywhere. Mm-hmm. Don't matter. So they can make the tropical storms way heavier, way stronger before it even crosses. Before it's even near the United States.
Yep. No problem.
No questions asked. So no questions asked that the U.S. government and other governments can no doubt control the weather.
Yeah, let's touch a little bit on Dubai because
there we go. You saw on TV for yourself.
Yeah, so Dubai, they actually have a program for cloud seeding and or weather manipulation that they've been using because in the summer it gets hot in Dubai. So
they're in the desert. There's no water.
Yeah, so they want to produce water. So they have. Well, I have to put this in the description, but they have a dedicated group of scientists on that, and they actually tell you how they do it.
And what was it, a couple months ago or to a year ago?
Yeah, when they did.
They misseeded. They misseeded the
and they flooded it.
Dubai flooded.
Yep.
On TV. There you go, people. There you go.
So, I think I just want to see a convention in which governments around the world get together and they say that they will not, like I said earlier, use weather manipulation to the detriment of humankind.
Well, first, before they do that, they have to confirm it.
Confirm what?
Confirm that they use weather manipulation.
I mean, it's confirmed to me.
Oh, well, obviously. It's confirmed,
It's confirmed to me.
But, it's like...
Oh, you mean like they don't want to show that they doing those type of crimes? They don't want to show they got blood on their hands?
More or less. Or how... I don't know how good the technology is to make it look as natural as possible. How can you distinguish a natural hurricane from a seeded / man-made hurricane?
I mean, they have when I was doing research, they have planes that they fly under a storm.
True.
With radar, and they can see the levels of density and ice and all this and that. So they can prove it if they wanted to.
True.
They can prove it and put it in a nice form like this in a patent somewhere. But yeah, why would they incriminate themselves?
You're asking the wrong person. So?
I just wanted to pose that question.
Is that the final remarks?
Yeah, let us, this is the reboot episode of Burning Issues.
Formerly known as Suppressed Reality.
Yeah, formerly known as Suppressed Reality, but we had a little change in scenery, change in name.
The world was getting way too hot for Suppressed Reality.
Yeah,
we had to reboot something more serious.
Yeah, we want to segment, and we want to hit on more issues that are current, and we want to put our spin on things.
Yes. So there's going to be more episodes like this. We also got a fun series planned out where we actually go to people our age, get their 2 cents on the world. Have a little, have a few debates.
Yep.
Why not? That's a work in progress, though. So
yeah.
That being said.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me add something there. Yes, the new series will be doing some debating, but if that's not possible, or if it takes a little while, we'll still be dropping these episodes. So let us know what we should cover next.
Of course.
We got a couple ideas, but
websites coming in the making.
Yeah.
Websites should be in the making. This will get posted. I guess I should have said this first, but this is going to be posted on YouTube, Rumble. Hopefully YouTube doesn't take it down.
Yeah. How many strikes we got?
Well, they reset now.
Oh, all right.
So I believe they reset now, so we should be good.
Oh, we good then. Yeah. We're going to drop that on all media platforms.
Follow us on Instagram for the latest episodes, latest updates. Yep. Burning Issues podcast. I think that's it. Yep. I'm Will.
I'm James.
All right.
Deuces.